Resident Evil.
Just 6 years separate these two video games, Resident Evil and Resident Evil Remake. This game gave birth to one of the biggest gaming franchises to ever exist and the biggest in the horror genre. Two games both called Resident Evil 1, but which one is better? That's what I'll be discussing in this video.
Nobody was in it. But
On March 22nd, 1996, Resident Evil was released on the Sony PlayStation in Japan, making its way over to the West at a later date, and it changed what horror gaming could be. True fear and horror was born that day. Moments like the dog hallway, and the first zombie gave children who were playing the game when they shouldn't have been playing nightmares all across the world. Something I also find horrifying and scary is the voice acting. Yeah, it really is that bad, but I do also kind of find it funny, and regardless, it is still super iconic, bringing us such lines as,
Stop it! Don't open that door!
Oh, Barry!
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
The story of Resident Evil is fairly simple and straightforward, especially for the genre that the game's in. On July 24th, 1998, when a series of bizarre murders occur on the outskirts of the fictional Midwestern town of Raccoon City, the Raccoon City Police Department STARS team are assigned to investigate after contact with the Bravo team is lost. Alpha team is then sent to investigate their disappearance. Players can choose between two playable protagonists in this game. Chris Redfield, a member of the Special Tactics and Rescue Service. He served as Alpha Team's point man, and he was also previously a member of the United States Air Force. Or, players can choose to play as Jill Valentine, another member of the Special Tactics and Rescue Service's Alpha Team. She was actually in charge of rear security and specialized in bomb disposal and lockpicking. Resident Evil has your typical survival horror gameplay. Find items, solve puzzles, and use your limited resources like health items and bullets in order to stay alive. This game features a fixed camera angle perspective, which I will admit is very jarring at first, but once you do get used to it, you can't picture this game any other way. The camera system is definitely both a limitation of its time as well as a design choice. Not being able to see what's around the corner or having to shoot at enemies off screen, using only audio to determine whether or not they're dead or not, really heightens that scare factor of this game for me. Now the controls on the other hand also play a part in this game's scariness, especially if you're a modern gamer, cause shocker, this game from 1996 uses tank controls. Ooh, scary, I know, tank controls. PlayStation 1. Tank controls is definitely both this game and Resident Evil Remake's biggest flaw according to many people. However, I myself am a huge tank control lover. Sorry, I feel that it adds so much to this type of game and it is my preferred way to experience survival horror games. Now to talk about things even I think is bad about this game, the graphics. This game is definitely most dated in the graphics department. Of course, for the time it came out, it was next generation and ultra realistic. But playing this game in modern day, and as a younger gamer myself who didn't grow up with the PlayStation 1, it is very noticeable just how bad these graphics are. Of course, this is just a product of its time. When you look at Resident Evil Remake, like I will later on in this video, the graphics are vastly improved. However, for Resident Evil, at the time, Capcom utilized pre-rendered backgrounds to get a much higher quality look for their game, instead of full 3D rendered graphics. To finish up the Resident Evil 1996 portion of this video, the importance of Resident Evil cannot be understated. It changed horror gaming and gaming in general forever, and I feel like this game has a place in modern day gaming, especially for all Resident Evil fans, Silent Hill, Fatal Frame, Dead Space, survival horror fans, horror game fans in general, horror movie fans. You should definitely experience the original Resident Evil. On March 22nd, 2002, Resident Evil 1 would be reborn anew as Resident Evil Remake on the Nintendo GameCube. I find it kind of funny how it released on the same day as the original in Japan, a nice little coincidence. I'm not going to reiterate some of what I said for the original game as it implies for the remake, as this is a super faithful remake. It basically removed nothing and only added new content, which they did. One of those main new additions is Lisa Trevor. She is this new addition to the story that is unforgettable. She's this like person that was a test subject for many of Umbrella's most despicable experiments. This resulted in her appearing as mutated as she does. And Lisa Trevor actually appeared in the most recent live action Resident Evil movie, so she's not forgotten about by Capcom. But she's still this grotesque stalker like character that is an amazing addition to the game. Something that was unchanged from the original, but I feel was improved upon greatly in the remake, are the characters and how they are. Chris Redfield, of course, is the macho man type of character. He cares deeply about his squad mates, he wants to save them, but in spite of that, he often doesn't use his head and think and rushes into situations only to get himself into trouble. But then on the flip side, you have Jill Valentine, who is cool, calm, she's collected, she assesses each situation and keeps her nerve so that her squad mates may be able to see the light of day again.
It's a lockpick. You'd make better use of it.
Not only was new content added to the remake, but the overall game, of course, with the new and more powerful hardware, got a much needed facelift. The game looks absolutely stunning, the lighting effects, everything give this game the best chance of being the Resident Evil 1 that Capcom envisioned all those years prior on the older, more redundant hardware.
What's going on around
Voice
here?
acting
I
is
can't
definitely
figure it
improved
out.
from
Same here.
the interesting
I know
performance
Wesker.
that the original game
Not
offers,
much we can do.
but it is still full of that campy
Can search
goofiness
them
that Resident
separately.
Evil is known and loved for.
I'll investigate the dining room again.
Okay, then. I'll try the door on the other side.
This mansion is gigantic. We could easily get lost. Let's start from the first floor.
Okay.
The gameplay loop in Resident Evil Remake is very similar to the original game. Players must navigate through the Spencer Mansion, looking for keys and other puzzle items to progress, as well as using whatever they can get their hands on to survive. That be herbs, bullets, but even then, that's not enough, because the zombies in Resident Evil 1 Remake, they're special. They're not just dead when players shoot until they fall to the floor. Oh no, Capcom cooked up something devious for honest human players. The way to truly kill zombies is via two methods. You either A, destroy its head, whether that be by a shotgun blast or by stamping on their head on the floor, or by burning the corpse's body, that be with using a lighter and kerosene. However, if players neglect that fact and forget, eventually the corpse will reanimate again and become something even deadlier, even faster, even scarier than your standard zombie. They become a crimson head. These motherfuckers are vicious, scary, they're super strong, they take many bullets to put down again. However, once players do down these beasts again, they're fully down and dead. Exploring the Spencer Mansion in Resident Evil Remake is a joy to experience. Solving puzzles, fighting monsters, searching for every last pistol round and shotgun shell, scrounging up enough herbs to bring my health out of red and get more powerful weaponry, and even uncovering the secrets of what the Umbrella Corporation was doing in the Spencer Mansion. It was such an amazing time. And that's helped largely by the atmosphere and vibes. They might just be the best in the Resident Evil franchise. The music, the noise of the rain outside on the windows, the groans of zombies or pants of infected dogs running up and down the hallways after you, they just all combine into the premier survival horror game. And in my opinion, this is the greatest Resident Evil game ever made. To conclude, in my opinion, Resident Evil Remake outshines and trumps every single aspect of the original game. However, I do think Resident Evil Original is still a great game that should be played, but if you're going to choose one way to experience the Mansion incident in 1998, I'd recommend Resident Evil 1 Remake in my opinion. It does everything the original game
Quite your
did,
ordinary
but
house,
better in every
that's for
way.
sure.
And the original game is more so
Hey,
for
Wesker.
die-hard fans
Where's
who want to
Chris?
explore more of the series.
Jill
So for
knows,
me, I recommend playing
but we don't
Resident Evil
want to go
Remake.
back out there.
And if you're worried that you don't have a
But we
GameCube
gotta
or
keep
any
quiet.
older consoles,
What was that?
Resident Evil 1 Remake has also been
Chris?
ported to many modern consoles, including PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and through backwards compatibility, it's also playable on the Series S and X consoles and the PlayStation 5. This gave the game HD resolution as well as widescreen support, so you have no excuse to not experience the beginning of this amazing franchise.
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Barry, and myself. We don't know where Chris is.